Service Center on Route 32 in North Franklin. Everyone says there's nothing better than dealing with the dishes, and here's why. Selection. We have the area's largest inventory of off-lease, one-owner vehicles of all makes and models. You name it, we got it, or I'll get it for you at no additional charge. Quality. Each vehicle goes through a rigorous 120-point safety and quality check. Nothing leaves the lot without my personal approval. Convenience. We have financing sources for almost any situation. We offer on-site registration processing, and we have maintenance programs for years of stress-free ownership. And now open for all your maintenance needs. Our full-service repair facility, where oil changes start at just $19.99. Call today for your appointment or just stop by. So save thousands and deal with the dishes. Route 32, North Franklin. Or check us out online at dishfranklin.com. Or ring us, 860-383-4750.
Hi, my name is Dr. Katina Simmons. I'm the optometrist and the new owner of Grizzled Eye Care, formerly Zuckerbrand. I would like to welcome you and your family to make an appointment today for an eye exam. Even though the name has changed, we are still providing the same family-friendly eye care as Dr. Z. We are located at 8 North Main Street in Jewett City. You can also find Grizzled Eye Care on Facebook and send us a message. Don't forget that eye exams correlate to your whole body health too. It's not just new glasses and contacts. So come see me, Dr. Katina Simmons, at the all-new Grizzled Eye Care, formerly Dr. Zuckerbrand. Hope to see you soon.
Family owned and operated. That's something you don't hear too often anymore. Highway Campers of Plainfield is now 3 generations in and going strong. If you're looking to upgrade or get your first RV, contact the family that knows RVs, Highway Campers. They'll walk you through the process of finding the right RV for you and can even finance it for you. Visit www.highwaycampers.com and find your home on wheels. After all, home is where you park it. Highway Campers is a proud supporter of Griswold Youth Football.
The aroma of scented candles is a very good stress reliever and certainly brings solace to the mind and body. However, did you know on average 21 home candle fires are reported each day? 3 out of every 5 candle fires start with something that could burn, such as furniture, mattresses, bedding, curtains, or decorations being too close to the candle. Candle fires peak in December and January and rank second. From January through November, 4% of home candle fires start with decorations. This certainly jumps up 12% in December. Christmas is a peak for candle fires, which is almost 3 times the daily average. So if you love candles and you forget about them, it'll burn your friggin' house down. The following is brought to you by Crystal Health and Safety.
I get to hear what I want when I want.
We love the 80s.
Your home for all 80s all the time.
Always got music going.
SNSN, your community radio.
Live from Main Street.
Don't change anything. I love your show just the way it is.
Mike Minarski and Paul Lash in the morning. And 80s all day and night. Your community radio.
SNSN.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is a wonderful, what is today? Wednesday?
Yes, all day.
I don't even know anymore. The days just kind of.
It's Wednesday.
We're in a matrix, man. I have no idea. It's really everything happens at the same time.
Well,
everything is happening simultaneously.
Well,
that's why you have deja vu, Paul.
That's true.
Because everything's happening at once.
That's right.
Well, that's why you do things in parallel instead of doing them serially.
Aha. Time is nothing more than just a fake thing. It's a human thing. There's no such thing as time.
There's no such. That's true.
Well, anyway.
You got that out of your system.
I did. I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. You got the weather?
If you like.
Paul has the weather forecast for you.
Yes, I do. Right now, the temperature downtown Jewett City is 29 degrees, so it's not a very warm morning, that's for sure. It'll be probably cloudy this morning, then becoming cloudy, I guess, during the afternoon. Highs will be somewhere around 50 degrees. And however, the wind's going to blow again, 10 to 15 miles per hour. So if that's the case, we know how it was yesterday. Beautiful sunny day, but that old wind was blowing pretty good. But tonight, cloudy with fog developing after midnight. 36 degrees, though. 10 to 15 miles an hour again. So the wind, this is March, so I guess we can assume the wind is going to blow for the month of March. But end of the month, no wind, rain.
Yay.
And, of course, mentioning rain, guess what?
What?
Rain.
Great.
Good, rain. And guess what?
Rain.
Temperatures are going to be 48 degrees with possible thunderstorms. And again, wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. And of course, for Thursday evening, rain. And then showers continuing after midnight. Lows will be somewhere around 46 degrees. Every time it warms up, it rains. So there we go. That's the temperature. So for today, that's your weather. 03/23/2022.
Well, thanks so much for that,
Oh, yeah,
Paul.
we're at the really.
How are you, Mr. Barney? It's good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, I've been keeping too busy, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try. Today, I'm just.
Yeah, you're a little run down today.
I'm a little run down today, but you know what? I have you guys, and I have people that are here in the chat room that are waiting to chat and stuff and talk about different subjects in the news. So, good morning, Victoria. She's already there. And Laura, good morning. Hey, okay. So,
what are we talking about?
We'll get right into it.
Let's get into it.
Get right into it. Transgender athletes. Now, that's been a subject that's been going on for a couple of years now. That's really been the forefront of the news.
Yep.
There was a court case in Connecticut where there was a young lady who was a track star, and she lost her spot as a senior to a transgender female. And she thought it was going to be her year, her year to shine and whatever. Then a transgender female, came in and took that spot, or took a bunch of spots and just basically kind of, or a higher spot and just bumped her out. So the question is,
when you're saying that spot, Mike, you mean winning the event
on the team spot on the team?
Oh,
yeah.
So this other girl lost her spot on the team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. So there's that. What is going on here?
Well, well, unfortunately, that's the way of the world right now. That there's probably going to be more and more transgender things going on as we move forward. It's going to continue. I don't know how. I mean, I guess if you're a transgender, I guess that's something you feel at an early age that maybe you should have been born a woman. I don't know. I mean, we never heard of things.
And, I mean, I'm completely on board with whatever you want to be. Yeah. If you feel like if you were born a male and you feel like you should have been a female, then that's your own personal choice to go ahead and do so.
You wonder though, with social media and all the stuff that's going on, is it really that's the way? Did you feel that way, or are they just doing it because they're doing it? I don't know. I mean, not only is sports a situation, but you have male and female bathrooms still,
right?
And you have a transgender going into a female bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean now they're going to put urinals in female bathrooms? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go.
I mean, and it's understandable that why some women would be upset because they're just starting. I mean,
well, the girl in Connecticut who was not able to be on their team actually turned into a pretty high profile court case.
Mm-hmm.
In Connecticut, right? Yeah. She didn't win.
Did not win.
Did not win.
She's not going to win because the liberal left wants to. Right. That's what they want.
Well, I don't know from experience, but I've seen some family interdynamics, not blood family, but I come away with the feeling that they actually do believe that they should be the other sex. I don't that's just a minor observation on my part that I've observed.
Shayna says, live and let live. Okay.
Yep.
And, well, let's get back to, I want to save Richard's comment for a second. Victoria says, we have women's sports and men's for a reason. Stay in your own lane.
Correct. And if you think about that, maybe there now has to be developed a transgender league.
That's an excellent idea, Paul.
That's probably what has to happen. And maybe that'll happen in the future where anybody who's a transgender now will participate in a third league, which would be male, female, and transgender. Okay. But now you got to get enough transgenders involved with the league because you can't have one person run against themselves.
But then can that get divided even further? Because if you were born a male or a female and you're transgender, the ones that are born female are going to still be they're not going to be able to compete. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I mean, every solution that you look at, we see there's opposition positions.
Well, I mean, there's genealogy and there's ideology, and the ideology is, everybody is equal, male, female, trans, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for a lot of reasons that is true. But I do believe that males are built differently, than females. And
you've observed that
a little bit. I took biology.
Well, let's face it, they are much stronger in ways that women are not.
I'm not saying that men are better than women. I'm just saying they're just different.
They're stronger.
Right.
Ways. I mean, there's a lot of women who are strong. Don't get me wrong.
On average, the men
mostly are stronger than a female. So
Richard says, I have biological daughters that both played at a high level, and I am very familiar with his daughters. They're great softball players. That's to say, competed against fellow biological females. Under no circumstance would I allow them to compete against men. Science shows men and women are different. This is settling back. This is setting Title IX back to square one.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of activity. A lot of people are, have comments on this. Victoria agrees with you, Paul, in your thought process of what should happen. Yeah. So does Shayna.
Okay, but how do they reconcile the comment that I made about it's still going to be unequal for men transgenders and women transgenders
playing in each other's sports, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How are they going to fix it? Well, we'll get into that in a second because there was a decree set out by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday, which could be a game changer.
Yes.
Could absolutely be a game changer.
See, I led you right into that.
You did. That's what co-hosts do for one another.
And I didn't even know I was doing it.
That's because you're that good now, Jim.
Oh, God, no.
Laura says, are we at the point where they should have their own team? Exactly. There you go. Does taking hormones affect your physical performance? I'm all for treating people equally, but you can't say there are certain physical advantages no matter what your identity and mentally, what you identify with mentally and emotionally. Bob, should be gender-only sports. Male with males, females with females only.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
But you take that statement, right? Yeah. And now you have a transgender female. She goes, I'm a female. So really in a court of law where everything's got to be perfect right down the middle and no gray area. What do you feel about that statement? Male with males and females with females. Because you have males that have transitioned to become females. So now they are females. And by all legal terms, they are females.
Well, the only thing that, let's face it, 99% of them don't go all the way. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they grow
you're talking about post-op.
Yeah. Don't do that. The most they do is they grow a pair of boobs. That's about it. And then do something so they don't have to shave. Big deal. To me, that's not a female.
Okay.
That's all they do. They don't go all the way. Now, there are some that will go all the way. Mm-hmm. There are people that have done that, but, well, look at Bruce Jenner.
Yes.
You think Bruce Jenner went all the way? I don't think so. I don't think so. I doubt it. Now, there's a guy that was a big athlete. Look at it. He won all those gold medals when he was
now he's a
female.
Mm-hmm. Which is his right or her right?
Which is his right. Right.
But is it a right to be competing with other females? Because now you're putting the other females at an extreme disadvantage.
See, I think this is so new,
Yeah.
On a local and national front that I don't think anybody knows really what to do, as far as the lawmaking capability is concerned. I think it is that new, and the people that are being affected are coming out and finally saying, hey, look, this is not something we feel is not fair. And we shouldn't be subject to this. So personal opinion really doesn't mean a whole lot here, because it's all going to be in how it's interpreted in a court of law, and also within, the different athletic leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the other hand, law changes too.
It does. Everything changes. You can change everything. You can change the law. You can change your town's planning and zoning rules and regulations. You know what I mean? You can certainly do that.
Look at the guy we have. Look at the guy we have in the federal government. He's what is he? The medical guy? The guy that's a female? He was a guy and now he's a female. He's in one of our under Biden's administration. What is he? The medical? What is he?
I don't know.
I forget what the hell they call. I forget.
Surgeon General.
Surgeon General. He's a guy who was. He's now a female.
All right.
Not a good looking one either. But
oh my god.
You're leaving yourself open to get slammed with that comment, Paul.
Oh my god. I don't think they look at the transgender male or females to see who's hot or not, as far as political positions.
There's an example right there.
Oh, God. Victoria says, I don't think this whole transgender in sports thing goes both ways. It is men becoming women that want to play sports. You don't see women becoming men and wanting to play on the men's team. They know they wouldn't be competitive.
Exactly. I think the majority is probably men going to women rather than women going to men. I mean, not that it doesn't happen, but I'm sure there is.
But here's something I haven't heard personally. Laura brings up. I don't hear males complaining about male transgenders competing in male sports. In other words, we do not hear about females that have transitioned to be male. Men or boys, they're not complaining about that.
Well, because they probably feel they still have the advantage.
Sure they do.
Okay.
Well, look at Cher's and Sonny Bono's kid.
Chaz.
Yep. He was a nice looking little girl when she had the show on. Now he's a male.
Right.
I mean, he's got the beard. I mean, he's got the whole thing. I mean, so you wouldn't even know if you didn't realize
exactly.
The way he looks now.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing is post-op, pre-op, does it even matter? It doesn't matter, I don't think.
Yeah.
But so if that doesn't matter, should any of it matter?
I don't know.
I could totally put a dress on myself, call myself Michelle, and say now I am a transgender female. If that's how I really feel, but I'm not going to go get surgery.
Exactly.
But some do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think because it's a very costly. I think it's a very costly operation, and I think they have to go through a complete mental type evaluation before they even allow them to do it.
No, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say we had a lady that used to come in here. Her name was Renee.
Yeah.
Do you remember Renee?
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful lady. She was a male.
Yeah.
At one point. She came in and she's since passed.
Yeah.
She died. She had cancer and has passed away. Wonderful person. She was very much an activist in Eastern Connecticut. When it came to transgender rights.
Yeah.
She was LGBTQ before LGBTQ was cool. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Roxana says I'd make an ugly female. Thanks. Thanks, Roxy.
Yeah.
Love you too. But she was not post-op. And you could tell because she wore very, very tight dresses. And it was hard not to notice, and the reason behind him saying this is because she told everybody she was post-op.
Yeah.
The thing is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't really think it matters. I think what matters is up in your mind, how you feel and how you want to present yourself.
Yeah. There was, matter of fact, this time on Survivor that we all watched.
I just think she felt she had to say that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
On Survivor, this year's, that's the one that's running now, there was a female to male, right?
So
about 10 years.
a male transgender.
Yeah. And he was on the show. You wouldn't even know it by looking at the person. But apparently they have to take certain drugs. They have to take these drugs constantly. And because he didn't tell them that he was doing these drugs, they kicked him off because of that reason. But by looking at him, you would have never known. To show you how transgenders are coming out now, we were watching Naked and Afraid a couple of weeks ago. And it was a female, it was a guy that turned into a female on Naked and Afraid. And I'll tell you, if he was growing the beard and the whole thing, he was right back to where he was as a male. You know, so it just goes to show you there's more and more of this stuff coming out now in a lot of your reality shows.
Yeah.
And that's the second one I saw that. I said, wow. And he was able to survive by himself because he was a male. I don't know if a woman would have been able to do all that stuff. So, but getting back to DeSantis, I mean, what he did was a good thing. But
we haven't even talked about what he did yet.
But I will say that about the swim meet that did happen in Florida. There was a guy, I forget what his name was, had won it, and he broke the record. But when he got out of the water, nobody clapped for him. When the second place female got out of the water, everybody stood up and were clapping. So he wasn't recognized as being the winner, according to the crowd.
He was only recognized by the NCAA.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida decreed yesterday that the female from Florida that was an all-state female in swimming. She was a top 4 athlete within the state. Has moved over to the University of Virginia?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, competed in the Olympics. And he said that she was the rightful winner, even though the NCAA does not recognize her. But the state of Florida now recognizes her as the rightful champion. People are going, can they do that? Yeah, they can do that. The NCAA is not going to change it.
Yep.
But the court of public opinion and obviously the state of Florida says, no, you are the champion.
Yeah.
I wish we had more governors in this country with the cojones that the Florida governor has. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that was really something else.
And I'm not talking about just this issue. I'm talking about a ton of issues.
Yeah. Well, you know, we going back, if you think about it, how many years ago did we watch the Olympics and you saw a lot of these Russian women appear, participating in the Olympics years ago, and the way they looked. We always thought there was a male, because the way they looked and the way they. Do
you think maybe they was just kept quiet?
Probably.
Okay.
Has there any evidence of this ever come out that some of these former Olympic Russian champions were transgenders?
No. But we, years ago, we look, holy cow, that looks like a guy. The way they acted, and they could have been for all we know, but nobody ever.
I really think the Hungarian team was all dudes.
Yeah.
My name is Billa. I want to tell you something.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. It's something we have to address, and it's something we need to fix because, women have tried a long time to get known in sports, and they may not be as physical as doing all these fancy things that a lot of men do, but they should be recognized for doing sports. What the hell's the difference?
All right. So let's say, what is the predominant, women's sport?
Basketball.
That's one.
predominant.
No, I'm not.
I think volleyball is probably one that is more dominantly female than men.
Well, you're right. I think it's just more or less volleyball.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think you would quite finish making your statement then, because I mean, I just think,
Right.
I think that there's thousands more women in basketball than in volleyball. So
Right.
when you said predominant, that was why I gave you the answer. Of
No, what I
basketball.
meant is what sport has more female participation?
Yeah,
you're
right. It's volleyball.
Percentage wise.
I think right now it's volleyball, but I think more and more as a lot of these professional teams get bigger and get well known, I think you're going to find a lot more women participating in basketball than they are going to do in volleyball.
Okay.
Because they have a chance to go on to be professional players. It makes them pretty good money.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have any professional volleyball sports around here. I don't believe that
Well,
they're making big bucks.
I'm just thinking. I don't know of a single school, that has a volleyball team, or at least it's recognized. I mean, you get thousands of schools that get women's basketball teams that are recognized.
See, volleyball is a very big sport in the state of Connecticut in high schools. It's a very big sport.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that to Angela Adams.
Yeah.
Angela Adams is one of the coaches for the Griswold volleyball team.
Yeah.
She's been playing volleyball for years, and she's, and I asked her one day, and I didn't get an answer. I just kind of put it out there. It was kind of rhetorical. And I asked her, I said, how do you feel about what would happen if a 6'4" male transgendered into being a female all of a sudden became a part of the girls' basketball team and or volleyball team? First of all, if it was volleyball, it could be dangerous.
Yeah.
You imagine, a 6'4" young man that has transitioned into being a female spikes that ball, it really hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Same thing with basketball.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, transgender females in the middle and throwing elbows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And really pushing people around.
Yeah, because basketball is a contact sport. That's
exactly.
For sure. And you could really hurt somebody if you're somebody with a stronger body. That's for sure.
So, but how would that work out?
Yeah.
So far, we're talking about non-contact sports.
Yeah.
If you look at it,
yeah.
We're talking about track and field, and we're talking about swimming.
Yeah.
And how different athletes are being affected by transgender athletes. Is it the transgender athlete's fault? No, it's the rules' fault. If you're Bobby and you become Becky, you should still play, I believe, on the boys' team.
Correct.
You can change in the girls' locker room, but even then, how do the other girls feel?
I would think they probably would. Some of them would probably feel,
threatened.
Yeah. I don't. Do they all have separate? Is it an open area where you change your clothes? I don't know. Then all of a sudden, Becky has Bobby, and they're going, ooh, ooh. High school kids get beat. So I know it's a delicate subject.
Well, I don't know. I was in high school, in the last century. But the boys, we all showered in one just huge big open pit. Basically, I never was in the girls' shower room, so did they do the same thing, or did they have individual?
To get in there,
did they have little individual cubby holes that kind of provided them some privacy?
I don't know.
There's got to be somebody out there. There's got to be some lady out there that's listening that could answer that question, at least in her own experience.
David Polino says, just for perspective, the trans athlete was ranked around 150th when swimming as a man. And as a woman, he's the number one swimmer and just beat the silver medalist from the past Olympics this weekend in the NCAA championship. You can't tell me that's a fair situation. The only way around this is to be two more divisions added, a trans male and trans female division.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Kind of what Paul said.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Well, he brought the idea up.
Yeah, that's what has to happen. And then I don't think anybody would have a problem with it.
Are there enough athletes to do that?
I don't know what the percentage of transgenders there are. Let's face it. Let's take this Griswold as an example. In order to have a team, what do you got to have? Like 10 people, 12 people?
Depends on the sport.
Yeah.
Well, let's take volleyball, for instance. How many people on a volleyball team? You got
Eight or nine?
8 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need 8 or 9.
8 or 9 on the court.
So you need at least 10 or 12 transgenders to play in the school. I doubt
If you had a transgender league.
Right. I doubt if Griswold High School or Griswold anywhere has 12 transgenders in the school entirely. I mean, there may be somebody, I don't know, but to get that's a lot.
Well, there may be more than 12 transgenders, but there may not be 12 claimed transgenders.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, so, and now you got to have NFA have them, and then you got to have Plainfield have them, you know, so I don't think it's big enough at the moment to.
Sandra believes that Dave Polino is correct. That's kind of what you were saying as well. So what is it going to take, to transition, sports law into something that's more acceptable to all people? Yeah. Because this isn't working.
No, it's not.
It's not working the way that it is right now.
No.
I think a lot of women got to stand up and say, look, we're not going to put up with this.
I mean, if the women all got together and says, hey, look, we are not going to compete against male transgenders because it's just totally unfair. That would be a very, very powerful statement.
Yeah.
But whether you can get them all together to do that or not, that's another question.
Yeah. Well, a lot of good female sports folks are actually looking to get into college with some kind of a scholarship. I mean, let's face it, they're not planning on going professional. All they're trying to do is to
a very small percentage of athletes go professional,
right?
The college ranks,
exactly. But they're trying to
even D1
get a scholarship where they can at least go to college with some kind of a reduction in the cost of going to college, and then they play for the school. With these male guys coming in as females, they're going to take all of that scholarship away. I mean, if you're a college and you got a guy with a woman and the guy is much better and bigger, who are you going to take? You're going to take the guy, and then now the female loses out, even though she's a great athlete for her gender. So
here's a good comment. Think about this one, and I think Laura's always right. When they say the woman is always right, or the woman says I'm always right, I get a feeling in her house it's hard to prove her wrong because she's usually right. Because I think they are more concerned with individual competition rather than team competition. So in other words, swimming as opposed to volleyball or basketball, which is a team sport. Swimming is an individual sport. Even though it's a team sport because you're combining scores, but still, right? Some track and field events.
If that's the case, let's take the swimming.
Gymnastics. Who said gymnastics? I think it was Victoria.
If that's what she's saying, then let's go back to the swim meet in Florida. That maybe there should be a transgender winner and a female winner. 2.
Yeah.
Separated. If that's what you want to do. As long as it's non-contact. In swimming definitely is not non-contact. So if that's the case, the transgender wins and the female wins.
Here's one sport that is getting more and more popular as far as being co-ed.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
No,
Co-ed, define co-ed for me.
Boys and girls wrestling against each other.
Oh.
Griswold has females.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Wrestling boys.
Yeah. You know what? More power. I don't care. It's still a sport if they want to do it, and the boys and the girls, they don't have a problem with it because that could get fishy, weird. I don't think personally I could I think maybe just a different generation. It's a generational. I couldn't wrestle another female. Yeah. I would feel like I was going to get arrested for.
Well, yeah, because let's face it, you're manhandling the girl. And who knows where you're going to stick your hand?
And you don't know.
And you're saying, "My God, what are you doing here?" If you're a guy who's like, you're going to pull back. You're not going to touch her in spots that you're not supposed to touch her.
Right.
Unfortunately, you have to in order to flip them over.
Right.
So,
And there are
same
many
way,
times.
same way with a girl. Is she going to feel right grabbing a guy in a non spot where he shouldn't be grabbing him?
Mhm.
You know,
And it does happen. I mean, Dane was, was a high school wrestler for Grizzle for years, and you see, underhooks and stuff like that, and it happens.
But, I guess I'm going to look at it a slightly different perspective. When you're actually in competition like that, are you really thinking about the sexual aspects of it? I'm gonna give the young people the credit that they're not really, that they're out there.
You're not, but
it's in the back of their mind that some guy is out there wrestling some girl. That it is in their back of their mind that they need to be careful.
Exactly.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's an overriding factor in the way they're wrestling with one another. Maybe I'm just totally naive. I've been naive a good part of my life.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask both of you. You guys both come from the same generation. Let's say that you have a male-female wrestling contest. Do you really think, that who's gonna be more tentative, the male or the female? Now, I'm not talking transgender. I'm just talking boys and girls.
Yeah.
Do you think that one of the boys are going to be more tentative than the girls?
I think they are, because you're grown up to know that you're not supposed to touch things you're not supposed to touch. That's just something you grow up with.
Now, Court just made a statement, and this is kind of why I said this, because I knew Court's one of his daughters was a wrestler.
Okay.
And said, my daughter's wrestled. I had more issue when they or their teammates. What? I had more issue with it than they or their teammates had. Okay. So in other words, the girls, they didn't care. They didn't care.
And
that's cool.
Kind of where I am, I guess.
Matter of fact, I've got a picture in the back of Grizzle High School wrestling team, and his daughter's in that picture. Because we covered him with sports and stuff like that. Whatever, it was like the second year that we were doing this, and she's in that picture.
Yeah. I guess we feel that way is because we came from a different generation where we knew it was wrong.
Like if you were wrestling a female, Paul,
I would be very careful.
Would you do it?
Probably not.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking back to age also, because and I don't know what the age was, but probably around 10 or 11. All the neighborhood kids, we used to have pig piles, and it was you know what I mean by a pig pile? Everybody's piling on everybody else. Okay, I mean the young girls, the young boys, they were all involved in this pig pile, and there was never any sexual connotation to it. Maybe we were just young enough that we hadn't quite gotten to that point yet. I say this is a few years ago for me.
Victoria says, my son wrestled in high school. He had one match with a girl and she wrecked him. Laughing emoji. My son was afraid he would hurt her, so he really didn't try.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Is that fair, though?
I think males.
Is that fair?
Nothing's fair in the world.
No. Let's put it this way. Let's say you have 160-pound class, okay? And you have a boy and a girl that come out. And the boy is a little tentative, and the girl's going to go full boat. She's going to go full bore or whatever.
Yeah, she's got something to prove.
All right. And if the boy goes full bore and, starts throwing her around, is that a bad thing? And she gets hurt. And hurt bad. Is that a bad thing?
You take these risks in everything that you do.
Exactly. You got to expect that both athletes are going to give it their all.
Yeah.
So what if she hurts him?
Hey, it
could happen.
That could, yeah. There's some There's some pretty rugged women out there.
And I got to be honest, and I'm not saying this because Court is here, because I brought that subject up about wrestling because I knew Court would probably be there, and I knew his daughter was a wrestler. She's a tough little shit, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I never heard her complain. We interviewed her too, a couple of times because, and I hate to say it, it was almost a novelty because you had a young lady who was wrestling. You didn't see it often.
Yeah.
She didn't care. And that's exactly what, I remember us talking to her about it, and didn't seem like she cared at all. She just wanted to wrestle.
Yeah. That was her passion.
Yeah. But I think guys are brought up to a little bit different. They're brought up to respect women, through the ages. I mean, we haven't gotten to that point where they're grown up not to respect them. I mean, there are some people that don't, but you grow a 16-year-old kid of 70, they realize they have to respect the woman.
Mm-hmm.
They know that. It's drilled into them from their
That's
own
what we're taught since birth.
Exactly.
Is that still true today?
Johnny, go over and help your sister.
Yes. So
she can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Johnny, get out of here. I'm capable of doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what you hear now.
Yeah.
You hear now. And, cool. Melissa's like that. She'll like, I'll do it. I'll do it. Like, whatever. I'll walk away.
Yeah.
And guess what? She does.
Well, I think we're now moving towards women now wanting to be more independent and be able to do things on their own. I mean, let's face it. A lot of things are happening now are women and becoming.
I don't think that's now, Paul. It's been going on for 30 years or more.
Well,
maybe
40.
40.
I don't think it's been going on for 30 years. I think.
Well, when did
maybe
the women's movements first start?
Probably 10 years ago.
Oh, no. Come on.
See, now, Paul, really just going on to your point right here, Roxana says, males are raised to be respectful of their females in every way. It is ingrained in our sons' minds not to touch them or hurt them in any way.
Exactly.
This would psychologically be an issue.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what's happening.
Court says wrestling was good prep for her college rugby career because rugby's a tough sport.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mix it up with his daughter. She's tough.
Yeah.
Laura says she feels it also depends on the coach. And I would think that would be a huge factor. Huge factor right there, because that coach is really going to be, who's going to make you feel comfortable or uncomfortable.
I guess I would not want to be a coach in those instances. I think it'd be very difficult.
I think coaching is really generational now because I think there's so many different factors today than there was 30, 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
A completely different world. It's a completely different world. And this is part of it. We see transgender sports and transgender athletes. It's completely different. Was this even an issue when you were in high school?
No.
Okay. Why? Do you think humans didn't have that same type of desire within themselves?
Well, it was, maybe it wasn't as open for one thing.
Okay.
I guess I remember as, probably maybe in high school, you didn't wear yellow on Thursdays because if you wore yellow on Thursdays, it meant you were Q,
You were what?
Queer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, and I don't think there was any. I don't think there was any truth to it whatsoever.
I'm gonna wear yellow tomorrow just to say screw it.
Yeah. I mean, this is something new for us in this culture of men and women, especially even sharing bathrooms now. It's new for us.
Yes.
But think of the Asian culture. How many years ago were male and female sharing the same bathrooms? When you went overseas and you were, and you went into a bathroom, there's no different than a female coming in and sitting down right alongside you, or standing there with you. Who the hell knows, But I think that's been going on for a long time. So, but this is new to this culture.
It is new.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm glad to have this conversation with you guys sitting here. Because
we're so damned old.
Besides that. No, you guys, lived through a different generation of this. you know, and there are people in the chat room too who have also, lived through a different generation than I have.
Yeah.
And the thought process is different. The values are different.
Yeah.
Do values come from your thought process?
Yeah.
Are your values shaped by how you were brought up? Of course.
Hey, there's a subject that's an interesting subject for a conversation at some time, is how have values changed from your generation to our generation? And values have changed considerably. But I don't want to get into that today.
No.
I'm just saying that's something for
Yeah, but I
another
lived
day's
it.
conversation.
I lived it. My mother was gay.
Mhm.
I'm
not talking about just being gay, Mike. I'm just talking about the whole gamut of things.
Well, it was with my mother. It was. We're talking about 1979, 1978, when I had discovered that my mother was a lesbian. Back then, it was not acceptable.
That's for sure.
Or accepted, I should say. It
Did
just
you-
wasn't. I lived it.
Did you suffer because of that?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because of the way I was brought up. I was brought up right, and I didn't care. But they also conducted themselves in the way society would have wanted them to. In other words, I never, ever saw them holding hands. I never, ever saw them even give each other a peck on the cheek. There was no physical contact whatsoever. The relationship was beautiful. Honestly, I always wanted a relationship just like them. And I never looked at it because they were both female. And I'm not saying I was only going to attain that with another man, but just the way they communicated. They were together all the time, even when they worked in the same place, same shift, everything. They never fought. It was a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
Well, they never fought that you saw. Let's rephrase that.
Okay, I will give you that, but I was with them all the time. I was mama's boy.
Mm-hmm.
I was with them all the time. I would have had in 30 years plenty of opportunity to see them fight.
Yeah, I'm
or
sure.
disagree or argue.
Yeah.
I know they didn't always agree, but it never escalated. And if it did, who the hell knew? My friends never questioned it. And our house was pretty much the gathering point. All my friends came there. We would all sit around and whatever. Nobody questioned it. Nobody said anything to me. And even if they did talk amongst themselves, they never said anything to me. So you figure all through my high school years, I would have heard something.
You would have thought so, yeah.
Right? Nothing.
Because kids can be vicious.
Oh, yeah. And none of them were. And you know why? Because they all love my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big difference there too. Because my mother treated everybody with dignity and respect, including the kids.
Love is unbelievably important.
Yeah, it's true. So is my situation rare? I think so.
Yeah.
At
that time, anyways.
Yeah. These days, you have homosexual couples. It's just part of society. One of my best friends, my best friend talked to her yesterday, Lisa Coe. Her and Doreen. I couldn't even picture her with anybody else. I couldn't even picture Doreen with anybody else because of just who they are. It's just who they are. And I think we miss that piece. I think we don't look at the person, we look at the situation, and we don't look at that this is what these people want.
Yeah. And that's what they should have. That if that's what they want. I mean, love whoever you want.
Mm-hmm. Paul, you've been pretty quiet.
No, the only thing that bothers me is the fact that when somebody tries to push their homosexual or their lesbian thing on me, that's what I don't.
Can't say lesbian thing.
Well, whatever.
It's not a thing.
Well, I don't like it when they push it on me.
What about religion?
religion. I don't like anybody pushing religion.
Yeah,
on
so
me
it's the
either.
same thing.
So
Same thing.
that's the only thing that bothers me, that will somebody try to push it
Well,
up.
I hear what you're saying, Paul, because that was a thing with me years ago too. Was that and it wasn't just that, as Mike said, it could have been religion or it could have been other things, but
Mhm.
pushing it on me, that was bothersome. But I don't know that that's prevalent anymore.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't had anybody push that on me in probably decades.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Now, I'm going to stereotype just because the people that are within the Jehovah Witness religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are one of the things that they do within their religions? They go door to door.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's say you had people, and this is not a thing because, whatever, because it's lesbians and homosexual males, they don't recruit, I mean, that's not part of their, but would you feel just as awkward if you were not a homosexual or you are not a Jehovah's Witness when somebody comes to the door? Would you feel just as weird with a homosexual couple coming to your door to talk about their lifestyle as opposed to a Jehovah's Witness coming, trying to talk to you about their religion? Would it be different or would it be the same thing?
Same thing. I'd be a little bit standoffish, but
standoffish or
I would
or unaware.
I wouldn't know. Well, I think today you can pretty much recognize those who are couples today. It's pretty easy now to.
But they're coming to you to talk to you about who they are, just like Jehovah Witnesses. They're coming to tell you why they praise what they do.
I would politely tell them that I'm just not interested.
Right, but how would you feel? I mean, yeah, sure. I could sit here and tell you I don't like somebody, but be very, very GP, with them. But how would you feel if somebody came to your door, let's say a homosexual male couple, Jim, knocking on your door, and they're saying, "Hi, we're Bob and Fred, and we want to talk to you about our gay lifestyle." Would you feel uncomfortable with that? Because they're trying to go ahead and spread awareness, just like maybe a Jehovah's Witness family. They're trying to spread awareness for what they believe in.
I'm not sure I know the answer to that question, Mike.
Just because we don't know. That's how new it is.
I remember Jehovah's Witnesses coming to the door as a younger boy. And my dad, I think there was a time when invited them in, they sat down, they had a long conversation. And I'll have a conversation with anybody about almost anything as long as we can remain civil, because the way I look at it, I'm going to take away some different perspective that I maybe didn't have before, and that's very important to me.
And I feel that's a great answer, because you know what I think there, Paul? I think people ridicule what they don't understand.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
So like if somebody looked at my mother and Sharon from afar, they may ridicule them because they don't understand. But like I told you, my friends and family and everybody that was around us, they didn't ridicule them. Why? Because they understood who they were as people. Does that mean that we need to understand the people that are transgender in sports in the same way?
I guess.
Yeah.
Is that really the issue?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of issues there. I mean, the one we were started out on here was the physical attributes of male transgenders over female transgenders, and that's one phase of it. But understanding them as people, yeah, I think that's important.
But does that change your perception? I have friends that are Jehovah Witnesses. I could give a shit what they do at church. I care about them because they're people, right? But how many people don't? So now it's the same thing with transgender athletes. We don't understand them. Do you think we need to change the rules, or do you think we need more understanding?
More understanding.
Okay. Well,
but I think the rules need to be changed also.
That's what I'm saying.
There you go. Okay.
Yes. Because it's not going to work out, males playing in female sports. eventually something's going to happen where, as we all talked about, somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Or more and more transgender males are going to go into female sports.
I
And now
think-
you don't have female sports anymore.
The herd issue, I think, is a bogus issue, to be honest with you, because whether it's women wrestling women or men wrestling men, people get hurt. It's the contact aspect of the sport. You're gonna get hurt at some point.
But do you think? I mean, I would think that the males and the females that go ahead into whatever sport it is, they know that. You know, I know playing baseball. You know, back when I was younger, I knew damn well that if I stepped up to the plate and somebody was, you know, a power pitcher, I could get beamed in the head.
Yeah.
Is that any different?
No, I mean, it's like, do you think I'm gonna wrestle you? Christ, no. I'm gonna get killed.
I'm not that good, Jim.
And you know, little girls can be very, very tough.
I'm going to drop a name and see if you guys remember or know who this person was. Ready? Jenny Finch.
No.
Okay. Jenny Finch was a world-renowned softball pitcher. She went from town to town to town with her, I think it was 4-people team.
Yeah, it was a 4-person team.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name, but I remember that.
A pitcher, a catcher, and 2 fielders.
Yep.
And they would take on different teams, kind of like the Globetrotters would do, or you know, they go, you know, for fundraisers, and they do that. They were more comedy than anything. But Jenny Finch would throw 90 plus miles an hour.
A softball.
Yeah. So now that takes that argument and just pisses it away. Because she,
in this one aspect, I mean, she was rare.
Was she rare, or was she just one of those young ladies that just paid attention and practiced her craft?
I don't know.
But it's
the only
it's
honest
up
answer I can
for
give you.
debate. You know what I mean?
Sure.
She'd go town for town. Nobody would hit her. Nobody could hit her. Yeah. And that's why they did it. You know, they would have fundraisers. She'd come to town.
Yeah.
It was the Queen in her court was another one. It was I don't know the lady that pitched there, but nobody could hit her. They would come to town and say, "Put your best softball team together, boys." She'd come in and kick your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it the same thing we're talking about now?
No.
Why?
She's not transgender.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care. It's not the same.
It doesn't matter.
I don't agree.
You have a female born female going up a male born male.
There's a lot of females not great in sports that could probably beat the ass out of
Okay,
some
but
guys.
we're complaining about men that have become women, and you got a girl kicking the crap out of people on a softball field.
That's
Why is it? Why?
I don't know. I don't think it's the same.
Why?
Because it's a woman who's great at what she did, and she's willing to go up against men. When you got a transgender on a woman's team, it's different.
Look, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
It's because she's 1 out of 1,000,000, not 1 out of 100.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 1 out of 1,000,000 girls that decided to become softball pitchers. We have a gentleman in Richard Waldron. I was able to call games that both of his daughters pitched. They were lights out. Lights out. Maya pitched a perfect game. How do you think she would do against the boys? Lights out. Same thing. But that's my point. And I don't mean to be using this platform, you know, for my own, you know, personal soapbox, but
why not?
No, but I think that these young ladies worked at their craft.
Yeah.
Now, their father said, no, we don't want, you know, I wouldn't let my daughters play against boys. Okay, fine. But they worked at their craft. Would they beat him? I think so.
All right. So she was a great softball pitcher.
Yeah.
So what if we had a transgender now get on that team who was an excellent pitcher? And he's really taking it to the coals now.
Okay.
No, he's the great pitcher, not her. How does that make you feel? Because you know she's good.
Yeah.
She worked at a craft, but you got another guy who came in as a transgender. He's really good at what he did. He's beating the crap out of her. He's now standing out, and she's now on the sideline. How does that make you feel?
True.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. This is all. I'm not trying to say I'm right,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to throw the other side at you.
Yeah.
You know, are we all just sitting here, talking about, the transgender female?
It's like I said about our conversation we had a while ago, a few days ago, a week ago or two. I said Mike should be a facilitator, and that's what you're doing.
That's all I'm doing. Personally, I don't care if you're a boy or a girl. You want to play? Play. But I do think, personally, that if you're born a male, you should play with same sports with other males. And if you're born a female, you should, because there are genetic differences.
Well, I think that
So-
your comment that if boys and girls want to play together, that's fine. Okay. Up to the point where you're approaching kind of the semi-professional level. All right. Because then I don't agree with the statement.
See, the whole reason I brought up the whole Jenny Finch argument was because nobody's talking about stuff like that. Nobody's talking about, this pitcher who went up against men for decades,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody could hit her, and she was just amazing.
Yeah.
We're only talking about transgender females, and how it's unfair, or, people feel that it's unfair that they compete against other males that or females, people that were born female.
All right. The transgender males maybe can't compete well against the standard male. All right. You gave an example there that this fellow that won only was only rated at 150th position, competing with his own class of people.
Mm-hmm.
The early on in your conversation today. So you can make an argument that transgenders maybe can't compete as well.
Okay.
I mean, there's always exceptions, okay, but can't compete as well in their natural biological field as
I agree.
okay.
I agree with that. The only reason, like I said, I brought up the Jenny Finch thing is because everybody's, including myself, because all the focus is on the transgender female competing in female sports.
Yep.
But what if, basketball? Do you feel, Paul, you're a big female or women's basketball fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to Mohegan Sun and watch the games. You're a season ticket holder.
Right.
How do you think they would fare against the Boston Celtics?
Lose.
Why?
I think the height differences, the strength that they have. Not that they wouldn't give him a hard time, but I don't think that they would.
I don't think they would give them a hard time. I think they would just get their asses kicked.
Yeah.
See, now you're being political. I don't think they're gonna do it. No, they would get their butts kicked.
Yeah, they would. Yeah. Just like they always said, the Yukon women should go up against a professional team, men's team. They would get there. I mean, if they played against the Yukon men, they probably would get beat up.
Does it mean they're better or worse? No.
Just means that, because let's face it, when women play basketball, it's different than the way men play basketball.
Let's look at high school, Division I. I mean, colleges, Division I, Division II, Division III, Division IV. So kids in D3 schools, are they worse athletes than people that are in D1 schools?
No,
Not necessarily.
no,
It's opportunity.
exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that. But you know what? People in society, you think they're going to sit and watch D3
No.
NCAA championships?
No.
They're going to watch D1. Why?
Because they get the publicity.
Yeah, they're the big schools, and this is
Yeah, I mean, look at March Madness. You know, a lot of the lower class schools are getting their ass kicked.
Mhm.
You know, they win their local championship.
Right.
They get in, but they're a 15, 16 seed. Where do they play? the number 1 seed. So they're going to get their ass kicked.
Boom.
They have no chance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing I dislike about the March Madness is that the high rated players are playing the low rated. Why don't they change it so the lower rated players could have a better chance? Although there have been a few upsets, in double NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some 7s that have beat some 2s and 3s, or 4s or 5. You know what I'm saying? There has been some upsets, but
there's only one school I can never think of that really kind of beat that stigma in college sports.
Yeah.
And it's a little school out of Washington State, Gonzaga. The first year that I ever saw them, it was just like a Cinderella team. It's kind of like watching Hoosiers. You know what I mean? The movie Hoosiers. It was amazing how, they knocked, I think it was Arizona they knocked off of. Mm-hmm. And they won and that was in the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. But they'd never, ever won their conference title. And I'm not kidding you. They had a game from Gonzaga. Their gym looked just like Griswold High School. The fold out bleachers.
Yeah.
Where you'd sit in.
Yeah.
It wasn't in an arena. Wasn't anything close.
Well, a lot of those schools, if you ever watch some of those lower schools, that's what they play in. Those kinds of arenas.
Right.
Yeah.
But did that mean that team was better or worse than anybody else? No, it's opportunity. It's
opportunity.
It's money. It's the recruiting.
Well, yeah, I was going to say recruiting. I mean, the big schools, they got all kinds of money to recruit. And attract.
Is it sexier to go to Gonzaga back then, or UConn, or Duke?
I mean, let's face it. The young kids who are excellent in their sport, they want to go to a scholarship that's going to move them on to something in the professional. They get to the professional side of their sport. That happens a lot. That's why the D1s look what's happening with UConn, because they've had so many championships over the last 10 years or 12 years, whatever it's been. Kids want to go there because a lot of the graduates that move out of there go into professional sports the same way with, some of the other schools, Tennessee, South Carolina, all those schools, a lot of the kids want to go there because they know it's a step into professional sports. Right. If I go to University of Hartford and I'm an excellent player, do you think I'm going to be going into a professional sport?
Only really.
I mean, come on. That ain't going to happen.
Even though you could be the best in the nation.
Absolutely.
Because you're not going to get the recognition.
But you're not going to get the recognition because your scouts aren't going to watch University
So
of Hartford
let's think about the best in the nation, what you just said. How about let's go one step further. Best in the world. Best in the world. Tom Brady. He was I don't even remember what round he was in, but
he was about a 7th round draft pick or something.
Yeah, and he got from some school. Who knows? I don't even remember who they were. That's how much. I could tell you Drew Brees. When they had Drew Brees, he went to Washington. Yeah. He was a Washington Husky.
But Tom Brady, he is like Bobby Orr or Gretzky in hockey. He is such a disciplined person. His training, he just works at his profession constantly. Brady did, from everything I've read and understand.
You know what? And they always
and that's that discipline.
Yeah, but they say, I've heard this, my entire life. The greatest football player that ever lived may never have played the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So Brady is a complete anomaly. Brady was a 3rd string quarterback for the New England Patriots. Drew Brees was their quarterback. We're talking big name, big school, number 1 draft pick, the whole thing. Then he gets hurt. Now the Patriots are like, crap, what do we do? We just lost our money player. The ones that, people are tuning in to watch. Why? Because they're getting big ratings, big dollars on advertisers. Then their 2nd string goes down. So who comes in? Tom Brady. And all of a sudden, Tom Brady now is the best that ever was.
He's the GOAT.
The GOAT. if Drew Brees never got hurt, Tom Brady never would have happened.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I
mean,
think
there's
it
no
is.
there's no way to prove it one way or another.
There's not. There isn't. My feeling is Tom Brady would never have happened. He never would have ended up on another team as the starting quarterback winning all those Super Bowls. Because first you got to have a team that's going to win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Okay. But because of it, but we
Yeah, I
couldn't speak to his ability.
Get, I got your point.
It's
a little dull, but
most of my points are.
Is Tom Brady a transgender?
Oh my God. Wow.
Well, we got to get that in there again.
That's the quote of the day right there. I don't know. I'd have to ask him. But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there are things both sides of the coin. You have any other comments, Paul?
No.
How about you, Jim? Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I think we beat the hell out of this one.
We did.
So I'm glad the governor of Florida did what he did.
Yeah.
So I think the girl deserves it.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think the crowd kind of let them know when the winner got out of the water, they ignored him. And then when the female got out of the water, she was the champion. They all applauded. So this tells you what the public thinks. So
as far as the Brady argument, Dave says Brady is the greatest quarterback, but definitely not the greatest football player of all time. Lawrence Taylor is the greatest.
Oh,
that's what he says.
Yeah.
His play actually changed the game and how it was played.
Lawrence Taylor.
LT.
That was the
Number
New York
56.
Giants.
Yeah.
Got himself in a little bit of trouble every now and then. But.
That was when Y.A. Tittle was probably the quarterback.
Oh, I don't remember. No, this is the 70s and 80s. LT played.
He actually was at the. He actually came to a Sun game once.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, Tittle probably played way back in the 50s or 60s.
Well, guys, thank you very much for participating, especially online. It's a difficult subject to talk about, but if you just kind of sit there and think about it for a minute, is it really that difficult, or is it really just need more understanding? Because we all know
understanding is I think the biggest thing, and it's understanding. I mean, we've limited the understanding to this morning to the transgender issue, but understanding that applies across everything. I mean, why can't
that's kind of why I tried to.
Why can't two people have a discussion about a political issue without hating each other when they get through with it?
Well,
Because
unfortunately,
you don't want to understand the other person's
You
position.
You bet. It's like anything.
Yeah,
it's like anything.
Well, look what happened at Yale recently. They had a guy who stood up at Yale. He was a conservative, and he was bringing his conservative ideas, talking in the school, and a bunch of people who were in the audience were protesting him because he was speaking about being more on the conservative side. And these were lawyers, future lawyers, that were beating this guy up. Again, he had the right to speak his mind. Just because you didn't like it doesn't necessarily mean that he was wrong. It just wasn't your way of thinking. But they were all in there protesting the hell out of us. Now these are our future lawyers.
Well, you're right. Your right to speak your mind, Paul, is slowly being destroyed. Also,
exactly, because if you don't agree with the mainstream, then they're going to beat the hell out of you.
I mean, what?
Well, now we're going down a totally different route.
I understand.
We're going down a totally different route.
That's
right
a
now,
different.
so.
That's a discussion for another day.
Right. I just think we need more understanding of everybody else's. Somebody else. I need to understand your situation in life. If I'm really going to have a conversation with you, because otherwise, I'm not going to know really what angle you're coming from. I think it's the same thing with transgender sports. I think there needs to be lots of conversation and.
It doesn't need to be just about transgender sports. It needs to be about transgenders in general.
But that's why I brought up, let's take it off of transgenders and let's throw it, towards politics or religion. It's kind of the same thing. Everybody got to understand. You said it too. Politics. You can't talk to one another without it getting into a fight unless you understand each other. If you don't have any desire to understand each other, then no one's going to win. Everybody's going to lose, and that's true in this stuff too. So,
and most of us are not good listeners.
That's true.
That's exactly it.
That's a true statement.
That's it.
Somebody else is trying to make a point, and at the same, you're not listening to them making their point. You're trying to formulate your counter argument to what the point they're trying to make.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Well, I think we beat the hell out of this, so we are going to be out of here. Thank you very much for participating, everybody. We'll see you once again tomorrow, and we'll have another subject. Have no idea yet what, but we'll think about it tomorrow on SNSN.
Don't just wish for a winning deal, make it Dish. It will make it real. Don't just wish, make it Dish.
Hey everyone, this is Ellis Dish from Dish Motors. We're back better than ever with our new sales and service center on Route 32 in North Franklin. Everyone says there's nothing better than dealing with the dishes, and here's why. Selection. We have the area's largest inventory of off-lease, one-owner vehicles of all makes and models. You name it, we got it, or I'll get it for you at no additional charge. Quality.